Hello, everybody. Jose Rodriguez. Just the other day, I read a comment. Actually, it was a post by someone discussing buying too much printer right off the bat, especially when you are just a rank beginner at printing. You might be a seasoned photographer with thousands and thousands of dollars worth of gear, and then now you want to get into printing. In the olden days, we either sent our work out to be processed, and we always hoped that our photos would turn out, right? That was a phrase we used to use. Now we are digital, so we have instant gratification and instant knowledge whether our photos actually turn out or not. So his warning was, and he was kind of chastised by a few other people for making such statements, but they did have some merit. Basically, he was talking about people who get into home printing and having purchased thousands and thousands of dollars worth of gear would balk at the idea of having to buy a $500 printer, a $1,000 printer, a $2,000 printer, and then have to pay for ink to boot. So why not just send your work out? So, and I'll use a couple of printer models as an example. Originally, before I bought my first R1900 from Epson, which I consider my first real photo printer, I had a bunch of R300 series, 300, 320. There was even a 280, 340, which I still have two of them. I had a 380, which I eventually tossed because it just wasn't working anymore. But all of these printers were 6-color dye ink printers and were quite good. They produced very nice prints on glossy paper. But you then want to graduate to something larger because there's nothing better. Just like in the darkroom, there was nothing better than enlarging an image to create a big old print, 16 by 20. Back in the day, that was awesome. And, something like that on the wall would really attract attention. But now with digital, it's so easy to just make a larger print or a smaller print or a medium-sized print, depending on the printer that you get. Printers come in 8.5-inch width, 13-inch width, 17, 24, and after that it just keeps going all the way up 44, 60 some odd inch wide capacity on some of these huge inkjet printers. Most of us, though, will gravitate to something that we can put on a countertop, a bench top, a desktop, whatever, or if need be on a small movable type table with casters, so you can maneuver it in the room as needed, especially if you have a crowded room like I have. But often, a lot of beginners will actually buy too much printer. And I'll use this one as an example. The Canon Pro 1 is not for the beginner. Let me tell you, the Canon Pro 1 is not for the beginner home printer, okay? You need to start with something a little bit less complicated, like a Pro 100. If you're going to go Canon, yeah, start with the Pro 100. If you're going to go Epson, start with an R3000, older printer, but if you could find them new, they're excellent. They will last you several years, up to about 5 years before that black ink change valve starts acting up on you. But nevertheless, they do last quite a while, and they're very good performers. Now the P600, nice 13-inch printer with roll support. Yeah, start with something like that. But if you jump over to something as sophisticated as a Canon Pro 1, you may not be ready for that. The cartridges are around $40 a piece, and there are 12 of them. So you don't have to think too much to realize that that is a ton of money that you are investing. And if you do that for money, and if you get into it very deeply and you master that printer, then fine. You can support the printer, you can feed it. But if you're just doing it because you just want to print at home and you're able to buy something like that right off the bat, and again, you know nothing about color printing, you know nothing about color management, you know nothing about calibrating your camera, your monitor, then yeah, that's way too much printer to start off with. It's like buying an expensive high-performance car after you just got your license. you might end up killing yourself. So yeah, be very careful. Do not overbuy a printer. Begin with something medium, something easy to use with a shorter learning curve than something as sophisticated as a Pro 1. And now the Pro 1000, the Pro 2000, and I think Canon even has a Pro 4000 there somewhere. But again, these are very high-end sophisticated printers that require lots of use and lots of care. So my leave you with suggestion is to start low or medium. Depends how committed you are. If you are committed, go ahead and start with a medium level printer. You don't need to start with an all-in-one cheapo printer, but start with a good printer that will allow you to produce excellent work, and then spend time learning that. The same concept that you will use for that medium printer applies to the high-end printer. So there's no difference. It's just that the high-end printers are a little bit more cantankerous, and they require use and a lot of tender loving care, so to speak, for them to be kept happy. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please share and subscribe and like. And until the next time, everybody, happy printing. Bye-bye.